You on the court today?
Yeah. We go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So we give the guys off in the middle of the week.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
Try to give them off the weekend. Like Saturday, I think we have like conditioning, but then we try to give them at least Sunday to just get away, kind of recharge before the next week.
So Matt, right?
Yeah. So I started my career at Harvard.
Playing or coaching?
Coaching, yeah. Yeah, so right after I graduated, I graduated from Fairfield in 2014.
Nice.
And then was kind of just calling as many schools as I could to try to get on staff somewhere. And finally, Coach Amaker and the staff at Harvard, were gracious enough to give me an opportunity. It was on a volunteer basis because there's not a ton of money in the Ivy League athletic funds, but I just kind of became a sponge there and was there for 3 years. And Matt, that was Matt's his last 3 years. So his sophomore, junior, senior year. But I was close enough in age with those guys that I was like, I had one foot in each world. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Did you play at Fairfield?
I didn't, no. So I always joke around like with our because a lot of guys on our staff played. Like I always tell them like if I had maxed out my ability, I probably would have been like a D3 player.
Yeah.
Which is I would have loved to do, but at that point, when I was in high school, I came across Fairfield and really fell in love with it and figured I'd want to get involved with basketball, and so I went to Fairfield and worked not as like a student manager, but I kind of walked into the office my sophomore year there and kind of told that staff, that was Sidney Johnson when he was the head coach at Fairfield, and told them what I wanted to do and get into coaching. And they were awesome with the opportunity, and I think they were grateful to have an extra set of hands that was really willing to do anything in the office, and then I would stick around and work camp and stuff like that for them.
Nice. First thing I want to ask you about, so you played for the Mass Rivals?
Yeah. So I played for the Mass Rivals well before that Adidas contract back when I don't know, was Mike Travato around when you were playing for them?
No, I don't play for them. I just do some like media stuff for Vin. Shout out Vin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't play for them. I just kind of connected with Vin, so.
Yeah. So there was when I was growing up, it was like right when they had started. So it was like we were bringing the uniforms back to Vin and back to Mike Travato, who started it with Vinny, and they would do the laundry and stuff like that. It's funny to see it's really cool to see how far they've come, like what they've built that into. Because I saw the ground floor of it back when guys like me were able to make that team. Now I look at it and like I joke with one of our guys, a Cook played for the Rivals, and I'm always like, I wouldn't have made the X team for that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you started at Harvard, right? And then you went to Rhode Island?
Yep. So I was at Harvard for 3 years. Started as like truly like Coach Amaker and that staff were honestly so incredible and kind of made up a position for me on a volunteer basis. So it was like an administrative volunteer for 2 years. Which was really, really beneficial for me because I got to really see how a college basketball program works and the things behind the scenes that, you never think of. My third year at Harvard, Coach Amaker promoted me and created the position of video coordinator. So I worked with the assistant coaches a lot on, scouting reports and post-game feedback, stuff like that, and, different recruiting projects for Coach Amaker and the staff. After my third year, I got a call from Eric Yankowski, who's our director of basketball ops here at UConn now, and he was on staff as the video coordinator at URI for Coach Hurley, and he was getting promoted to director of basketball ops, and he called me actually to try to figure out if I knew of anybody that would be interested in the video spot there. I was like, yeah, I would.
Yeah,
and,
no kidding.
And so that kind of got the ball rolling on that. And a couple months later, I was in Kingston, and
That's awesome.
was fortunate enough to get on staff with Coach Hurley, and they had already done a lot of the legwork. I was just there to reap the benefits of that 17-18 team that was absolutely incredible at Rhode Island. And then when we lost to Duke in the second round of the NCAA tournament that year, honestly, like a few days later, Coach Hurley had accepted the UConn job and told me that I was going to be coming with him, which was absolutely incredible too. So I've been here for going into my third season with Coach Hurley now.
So that Rhode Island team, was that when you guys played when you beat Trae Young in Oklahoma?
Yeah, that was the first round, and then we got the Oklahoma draw in the first round, and then we got the Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter, Grayson Allen, Trey Duvall, Gary Trent. That Duke team was loaded. Yeah, we ran into that buzzsaw the second round.
How was that week going up into the March Madness game, just scouting Trae Young? Like, how was that?
It was really cool because we had lost a really tough game to Davidson in the A-10 championship. We had won the regular season title in the A-10, and then made it to the championship game of the tournament. Yeah, I got an at-large, but really, really wanted to win that A-10 tournament, and that Davidson team was really, really good. They gave, I think, the first round they played Kentucky in the first round, gave them a run for their money in that first round. They were really, really talented, and so it was once you kind of got over that, like it was because that game was on. Pretty sure it was on Selection Sunday, so we were watching Selection Sunday, kind of with the disappointment of losing that game, but also the excitement, that we had put ourselves in a position to get an at-large.
Yeah.
And when Oklahoma popped up, that spoke volumes to the kind of mentality that our team had. Like they were licking their chops. They immediately wanted to get to work and get ready. And, as far as video stuff, like Selection Sunday, right when we find out who we're playing, I'm on my computer downloading everything that we need to get, whether it's games, possessions, And this was interesting because it was, you're looking at, they obviously had a really talented roster there with Doolittle and all those guys and James but I mean, you were focusing on Trae Young because he was he was scoring or assisting on most of their baskets. But that was a lot of prep, and our guys locked in on that, and it was just different ball screen coverages because they set so many ball screens for him all over the court, and he was just so dynamic that it wasn't one guy that we tasked with it. We were kind of coming in waves at him, and we were 5 or 6 deep at the guard position that year. So we had guys that different sizes, different strength. We could put Fats Russell on him and kind of get up underneath him and pressure him, or you could put Jared Terrell could switch onto him, who's a strong guard, a strong wing guard. So that preparation was really, really interesting. As far as probably the most unique prep for a game that in my 6 years in college basketball now.
Were you guys pretty confident that you were getting in? What was your record?
Yeah, we were pretty confident because we had been in the top 20 all year.
Okay.
We had won like 16 straight games. We were on a 16-game winning streak, and then lost by I think 1 or 2 at St. Bonaventure. Who was another tournament team who was loaded. They had Jalen Adams that year, and so we were pretty confident. We had talked to the Joe Lenardis of the world and trying to figure out kind of forecast where we would be, just to try to predict what region we'd be in and maybe what seed we'd be in, and then we could go from there to try to at least have a game plan ready to go. So it wasn't like when Oklahoma popped up, we were excited about it, but it was something that we had already somewhat planned for a little bit. I think we were a 7 seed, 6 seed maybe.
Okay, nice. All right, so you have really good success at Rhode Island, and then you get to UConn. What are some differences you see right away from working at the Rhode Island job, and then you get to UConn, which is obviously a really, I guess, well-funded school when it comes to athletics and basketball.
Yeah, it was crazy because I had thought about it, and when I was when I first got here, like I grew up, being a UConn fan,
Oh, okay.
just in the Boston area. Not like die hard, but I had always rooted for him because that was I kind of grew up in the era of the, that 2014 that won the national championship here, and then I was in college for the 2011 and 2014 championship. So I'd always watched him and been a fan. But I had gone from Harvard to UConn in less than 365 days of, from that like lower major.
Oh, you
Ivy
were only
League.
at Rhode Island for a year?
Yeah. I was only there for one season. So I had, like, in a calendar year, gone from the Ivy League to the A10 to UConn. And, the first thing that you notice is, like, where I'm in right now is, like, this practice facility that we have. Is the resources are absolutely incredible. And, we share this with the women's team. So you walk in, and the lobby, there's the 15 national championship trophies right when you walk in. So it's an immediate tone setter right when you walk in. You know what it is. But it was everything from just, the fan base is absolutely incredible and so knowledgeable, and they've been fans forever. So they know all the history of, the success and the players that have come before, and kind of what the standard is here, which is a lot of pressure, but it's also what you want in sports. You want that pressure, and it takes a special person to, come in here and want that pressure and thrive under that pressure. But the facility was the biggest thing, just because, Rhode Island's facility was great. We didn't have a practice facility, but the Ryan Center there is one of the most fun places to play a game when that place is rocking. But you have to battle for scheduling of practice court, and you're splitting it with different teams and different things, and it's the state school, so maybe there's an event going on in the Ryan Center, so we can't practice at the ideal time we want to practice. But here it's like there's no excuses not to get in the gym. There's no excuse not to, the weight room in here, everything from the rehab facility we have down here, and the training room has everything you could need in it. Everything is right at these guys' fingertips, and it really just sets the tone for a great program like this.
Is there one practice court in there, or is there two?
So there's two. There's a men's and a women's court. So it's like you walk in, and to the left is the women's side, and to the right is the men's side, and they're mirror images of each other. And so they have their own court. Like the shared spaces are the like the weight room, and the training room. But it's incredible. I couldn't believe it when I first walked in here. I hadn't seen anything like this place.
Don't you guys play don't you have two different places where you play home games?
Yep. So we play, like, on campus. We split our home games, like 9 games on campus, 9 games in downtown Hartford. So the on-campus arena is Gamble Pavilion, which is right next door to our practice facility. And then we play in downtown Hartford at the XL Center, which is a little bit more of like an arena feel. Like a little bit more of like an NBA type, arena where it's you're in the city. It's more centrally located, so it's easier for a lot of people around the state to get to. And then in Gamble, I think it's a little under 11,000, maybe a little over 11,000 in there, and that place is rocking on campus. We played Florida here last year, and it was insane.
I remember watching that game. So how is it working for Coach Hurley?
It's awesome, man. It's he's the first person to say that every good leader should make everybody, when they enter a room, feel a little bit uncomfortable. Just you want to up your game. You want to, you don't want to be the guy that's fallen behind or anything. He's his work ethic is really, really contagious, and his intensity and his passion for the game is probably the biggest thing that sticks out. I mean, you can notice that on the sidelines. Like
Right.
that's who he is every day. He's a little more subdued on, not on game days, but he brings that intensity every day. And that's probably like the biggest thing that I've learned from him is day in and day out, the leader at the top sets the tone. So
Yeah.
he can't come in and not have, elite energy and passion for the game. And that the trickle down effect of that is incredible. And, he's the first one to say too, like he doesn't play golf. He doesn't have many hobbies. So this is it. And he's in here every day that our guys are on campus, we're in the office, and, we'll take the week off that they go home during the summer, and we'll recharge at that point. But, he's being a high school coach for 9 years and growing up with a Hall of Fame, coach and his father. He saw kind of the holistic approach of coaching basketball, whereas you're developing men off the court. And, our philosophy here is that the better person you are, the better player you are, the smarter person you are, the smarter player you are. So the development piece is absolutely incredible. And then on court is awesome. It's every practice is high intensity, high energy. We keep score of everything. There's a winner and a loser and everything. And, the guys really, really, really buy into that. And, they'll argue who won what and stuff like that. And that's kind of when that the culture's changing a little bit, is when guys are holding each other accountable of who won and getting competitive over everything. So there's definitely that culture it's really cool, because I came into Rhode Island and that was already in place. He had been there for 6 seasons, and it was already in place. And I walked in there and it was incredible to see. Like, I was just kind of trying to find my role in it and how I could bring value into that program. And then coming here now, being able to see him build it from the ground up is, it's a really, really rewarding feeling to seeing it all kind of come together now, and the momentum that we have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I should say, I know you don't want to leave anyone out, but who are some guys on the team you're excited to see getting action this year?
Yeah. I mean, obviously James Bouknight is back for his sophomore year. He had a really, really, really good end of his freshman year.
Yeah, he's good.
And yeah, he's crazy talented, and is like an awesome guy. Like, you just want to see guys like that succeed. Yeah. Like, he's really, really humble. He gets it. He's he's a great teammate. So I'm really excited to see the jump that he makes, because I think it'll be going into the Big East, and James has a little bit of hype around him right now that I'm interested to see how he responds to being kind of that marked man, where he's not sneaking up on anybody anymore. He's at the top of every scouting report. He's, guys can potentially make a name off of, playing against him and playing well against him. So I'm really interested to see that and see, the next level he can get his game to. As far as the returners, Josh Carlton is one of our seniors, big man. His sophomore year was our first year here, and he won Most Improved Player in the American Conference.
Nice.
Last year took a little bit of a step back, but dedicated himself immediately after the season, and has got himself in really, really good shape. He's playing with more confidence. He's playing bouncier, and I'm really excited to see him have a big year. And then, some of the young guys, Jalen Gaffney's coming back. RJ Cole is a transfer that sat out last year. He's a transfer from Howard that played for Coach Hurley's father in high school. Really, really good point guard. And then, the younger guys in Andre Jackson, who's the freak of all freaks athletically. Yeah. And, just to see him, seeing him play in practice now and starting to pick things up and starting to learn, the nuances a little bit of our offense and defense and stuff like that. Just when it clicks for him, I'm really excited to see what he can do this year.
Nice. What I remember the game that kind of Book Night showed out in down in Florida. That game was crazy. Who were you? Was that against Indiana?
So we played. It was in Charleston.
Yep.
The Charleston Classic. We played. So we played Buffalo in that first round, and then the second round was Xavier, and he played
Xavier.
really well.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yep, that was Xavier. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like I think it was like a double overtime game. I think the game started late. The game started at like 9:30. So
Yeah.
like by the time it was double overtime, it was like 1:15 a.m.
I watched a lot of college basketball. That might have been one of the best games I've seen in a couple of years, though. That was probably fun to be a part of, huh?
An incredible game. It was really cool because it was like a little bit of a preview of the Big East matchup that we'd be coming into this year now. Xavier is incredibly tough. That program has always been built on toughness and grit, and so we felt if we can match their toughness and their intensity, then we're headed in the right direction. But the other thing that was really cool about that was it also was really eye-opening of just the fan base as far as UConn and even Xavier goes. Like, that game was in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was sold out. Yeah. Like, that game it felt like an NCAA tournament game. Like, the electricity in that place. And, James played really well in that game, and that was, like you said, kind of his coming out party, and people started to recognize him after that.
Who was the big man for you guys in that game? Had a really good game too.
Josh played pretty well in that one. Maybe a Cook.
I don't know. I just remember that was a great game. Anyways, so you're into kicks, huh?
Yeah.
I used to do Jordans and all that stuff too, but so I guess I'm sure you love working at UConn. You guys get that custom Nike package, huh?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I've been, ever since I was younger, I was always into sneakers. And then I joke with our guys now because they'll always ask how I got like a certain pair of shoes. I'm like, dude, these are the ones that I had in 2008. I've been the same size since I was like a sophomore, junior in high school. So it's more of like they've just kind of like stockpiled in my closet now. But no, the Nike deal we have here is nuts. It's, every year it's usually like the newest model, whether it's the LeBrons or the Paul Georges or Kyries or, KDs. And then it's the different colorways of our uniforms, and you got to order them in advance because they're making them to order with the Husky head logo on it. So these guys have everything they need as far as that goes. And Nike takes real good care of us here.
What are some of the craziest UConn customs you have?
Probably my favorite ones are the KD 11s. Our first year there, kind of those Flyknit uppers with the ice sole bottoms, the white and navy ones. I just think those are probably the cleanest ones, or even the navy and red ones that they did. I got a couple. Trying to think what else would be the Kobe 11s.
Stuff like.
Yeah, the colors are unbelievable. The colors are so good on shoes like that. Like, and Nike. The cool thing about those is like we don't know what they look like until they come in. So like Nike, we just know what model they are.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the Kyrie, even like we won't know what the Kyrie 7 looks like until it comes out. You know what I mean? But we'll get them for our guys and place those orders in advance and stuff like that.
That's a great day for them.
Yeah. No, those dudes love it, and then we try to kind of like space out when we give it to them, just so they're not, we don't want them to forget a pair of shoes somewhere, like in a locker somewhere, or we don't want them to, burn through all their shoes. So we try to stagger when we give them, but they're there's never a time where I'm not getting a text of like, hey, when are we getting
Yeah.
these? Or like they'll see like another college team got that shoe and they'll be like, why don't we have these yet? They're like,
Yeah.
wait a week.
Well, they're probably in the back room waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
What about like travel suits and stuff? You guys get stocked up on that too? Bunch of colors.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get a lot of like those like we call them like the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like kind of the tech
what you're
fleece,
talking
but
about.
like
The bigger Nike.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that we get comes like pre-logoed and stuff like that from the factory and Nike at Nike.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to get like, again, there's like I think we're Nike Elite Gold, and I think there are 10, maybe max 12 schools in the country that are at that like highest level of the Nike sponsorship. So these guys will get 4 or 5 travel suits a year, and then we'll get kind of one-offs of if we're in a normal year. If we were in like a special tournament or something like that, we'll try to give them something. If we're traveling to Madison Square Garden or and down the line, if we're ever in like a Maui or something like that, where we can give them something a little bit different. And then something that we missed, I think it was the year before we got here, they were in the PK80. The
I was
Night
literally
Classic.
just gonna ask you about that. Those gold Paul Georges.
Yeah. No, we missed
crazy.
that. Our staff missed that by I think a year. I think that was the year before we got here. But yeah, those guys still talk about the gear they got from that tournament and how Nike took care of them in that one. But just so fortunate to have that partnership with Nike and based on the success. That's the other thing that we talk about a lot of times is like we'll always like we'll send out stuff to alums or like whether it's like Rudy Gay down in the bubble wanted to rock some UConn stuff, so we sent them some stuff, and we tried to send Kemba some stuff down into the bubble just so they can walk around with their UConn stuff on. And they'll always talk about like how much they love the gear, and we'll be like, yeah, it's kind of, we got you guys to thank. There was that sweat equity that they put in, and the success that they had here that's kind of led us to our guys to have the good fortune to be able to reap the benefits of that.
Absolutely, man. Well, really appreciate you for doing this. I know you gotta probably get back to work, and I gotta go work out. So best of luck this year, man. Let's try to stay in touch at some point too.
Appreciate it, man. You too.
All right, good luck.
All right, take care, Nate.